Good morning, everybody. I hope you're well. I've missed communicating via this newsletter with you. I mentioned I was kind of going to take a little break for a while, largely due to wanting to be present with my family. Had a really great spring and summer in this regard. I now have one child who's moved out of the house, found a wonderful place to live. I have another child who is headed back to college this week, and so I now have a little more time, and I'm hoping to return to doing this newsletter if it's valuable for you. I have started making inspirational, well, what I hope are inspirational posts on TikTok this last year, and I found that I can make a video very easily while I'm driving to work, and I promise I'm safe. Like, I keep my eyes on the road. I only look at the camera occasionally, which, sorry if that's annoying, and I look on stop signs and stuff like that as well. At any rate, I wanted to just try that format and see if it worked for you. Maybe you all hate it. Definitely the younger audience on TikTok likes it, but they're kind of self-selecting. But I thought I'd just try it, see what you like. Let me know if this is useful to you at all. I wanted to just talk for a few minutes about a couple of evergreen themes. Beginning of a new school year, it's always great to rethink and recalibrate and examine where you're at as a parent. What I see now as the parent of adult children. So I have two married children, one who is working full-time, has a life and her own house and stuff like that, and then I have another one who this will be his second year in college, and then I have a high school senior. So my kids definitely skew older, and what I see is this: the things that seem like a really big deal to them when they were in middle school are not a big deal to them. I'm not saying that there's no stings left, or there's not things that, bother them or that they wish were different. But all of the kind of stress and the storm and drang and the drama and the heightened emotions and the social struggles, and he did this and she said that, and this teacher was mean and that teacher, those things loom very, very large when your children are in middle school and adolescence, and they should, they are a big deal at the time, but with every passing day, they matter less and less and less, and what matters more and more and more is if the child has some grit, if they have some resilience, if they can cope independently with the details of their lives. And that means everything from remembering, to take a coat out when it's cold, to cleaning their apartment, to dealing with roommate challenges or problems with their bosses at work or their coworkers, learning to use their money well and wisely. All those things that we call adulting, all the stuff that adults have to do routinely, that's what matters. It's so easy, however, in the time during these adolescent years to focus on the things that will not matter and let slide the things that will matter. During those times when your child is very upset and the tears are flowing and it just seems like happiness will never come again, that's the time. Of course, we need to comfort our children. We don't just say, hey, life's tough, suck it up, kid. But that's the time when we have to be very, very careful and make sure that we are not doing anything that will compromise the things that will matter most. Their ability to be strong, their ability to shake things off, their ability to get through difficult times independently, coaching, having the resources to ask for help, but being able to kind of work through their own problems. The classic thing to ask is, it's hard to let go in 6th grade. and of course you're not just letting go completely, you're not like cutting ties and throwing the child out totally, but it's hard to step back. But if you don't do it in 6th grade, it's just going to get harder every year. It's going to be a little harder in 7th grade. It's going to be harder in 8th, and then it's going to be harder in high school, and then it's going to be harder in college. But at some point, inevitably, life forces us to step back. But the longer we wait, the harder it is for our child. And that's so important to remember. So it's easy to say this. I still struggle with this in the moment. My senior was very upset about something a little while back, and there was something that I was frustrated with as well, and something I thought was unfair, and every instinct of mine was telling me to intervene and to jump in and to fix it and to, get in touch with the people who were doing this thing I didn't like. And I didn't, but it was really, really, really hard. And I think maybe the only reason I didn't was because he is my 5th child, and I've sort of learned a few things with all the other ones. Sorry, I'm at an intersection. So at any rate, it's so hard. I understand it's so hard. It feels like you're not being loving. It feels like, love would dictate that you do intervene, and that you do jump in and you do save them. But I promise that when they're older, and if you think about it, they're going to be older and away from home a lot longer than they're going to be younger and living at home with you. And so logic and love would dictate that preparing them for the greater part of their life is really the greatest thing you can do for them. So try to let those little things go. Understand that even what seems to be very, very difficult situations will pass. And understand that what really will matter, the only thing that will ultimately matter, is what kind of skills, what life skills your child has gained, what abilities. Assume that they will always have difficult people in their lives that they're going to have to learn to work with. And that might include peers and colleagues and coworkers and apartment mates and relationships. It might include their supervisors and their bosses and their professors. Assume that they're always going to have challenges in their life. Like, life is beautiful, but it's hard. It can be really hard, and they need to be able to build up in developmentally appropriate increments that strength, that grit, that resilience. They need to know that they can get through hard times using their resources with you as a coach. And that coach is important. The coaching part is no small thing. Again, you're not just stepping back and throwing up your hands and letting them, throwing them in the river of life, so to speak, and hoping they learn to swim. You're coaching, you're helping, but you're doing that from the sideline. And what that means is you're helping talk through things with them. You're asking questions about what options they have. What choices do you have here? What are the possible outcomes of these choices? Coaching isn't telling them what to do and, dictating every response and things like that. Coaching is helping them talk through things, trying to help them arrive at the answer themselves. One really great strategy I found is I ask, and I've done this with students and my own kids, is essentially you can change and tweak this, but a variation on this question: what do you want, and are your choices helping you get that right now? And if not, then you have a choice to make. Do you really want what you say you want? And if so, do you need to change your choices? That question of what choices do you have is really empowering. It sometimes sounds a little harsh because and your child does need empathy, by the way. You don't say this like when they come to you and they're upset because something happened in school or online or whatever. You don't just say, hey, what choices do you have? You listen and you express, love. You sit with them emotionally. You let them know you care, you're sorry, you understand. And sometimes it's a later conversation, but at some point, we can't just raise happy, successful children by empathy alone. Empathy is critical, but that can't be the end of the conversation. The conversation at some point needs to say, what choices do you have? What's a plan? How can we do this? How can I help you? And sometimes, to be honest, there aren't a lot of choices. But that's okay, because sometimes in life there aren't a lot of choices either. But I have come to believe there is always a choice, and that making even a small choice can actually have a profound effect on our ability to fix or remedy or mitigate or change a situation. At any rate, I hope that makes sense, and I'll be interested to hear if this is useful at all to you. And if not, that's fine. If it is, that's great. Let me know. Anyway, just sending you wonderful, positive vibes. As a parent, you've got this. Your child is amazing, and you are. And with just a few little, conscious things, you can help that amazingness flourish and reach its fullest capacity. So anyway, happy parenting. You've got this.